Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Grunge Bible Podcast. My name is Chris Salona, so we welcome you in. I am joined by Ethan Shalloway on this lovely day. Great day to talk music. Ethan, how's it going?
It's going really well, Chris. My energy levels are high. We are recording this on, what is this, a Tuesday?
This is Tuesday, June 7th.
Feels midweek. Yeah, we're, I don't know, I'm feeling really good. We just had a really good interview, so... I feel excited. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. I co-sign all of those thoughts. I feel great. That was a fantastic conversation that I'm really looking forward to presenting to everybody. Things are great, and we've got our co-pilots here for those who are watching. That's
very important.
Very important.
I'm assuming that yours is from the Providence. Is he a New England guy? My guy's from Maine.
He must be.
So
I believe
he's
an East Coast Atlantic Ocean seafaring man. For those listening on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you're listening, we have our co-pilot seafaring captains with us on screen, and yeah, it's just important. That's all there is to it.
My guy's got a pipe on it.
My guy needs a pipe,
but he's got. Well, I'm assuming.
I'm sure he had one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Lost it to the seas.
They both have beards. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Incredible stuff right here.
Yeah, this is incredible. And
that's why you guys join. That's why everybody joins onto the YouTube, the Grunge Bible Podcast YouTube, is so they can see props like this.
You get the bonus cuts, and you get to see if we're wearing hats and how terrible our hair is when we don't wear hats. But I'm excited today because, as we were mentioning earlier, we just got finished with a great conversation, and very excited for this episode to share with everybody. We had the opportunity to sit down with Gerhart and James Daniels, who are members of a band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania called Chestnut Grove. Chestnut Grove has been together for over 10 years now, and they've released quite a bit of good music along the way. And Ethan, we had a great conversation with them today in advance of an EP that's coming out later this year. We were able to talk about their path into music, how they became friends, influences, stylistic changes, the music industry, playing shows. It was really an all-encompassing conversation, and I had a lot of fun getting to talk to Dee and James.
Yeah, I'm really happy we were able to do this. They were actually, when I was in high school, they were a few grades ahead, and they played music, and my band played music, so kind of connected that way. And actually, Dee, her dad was one of my first drum teachers, so it's kind of cool to follow along for the past 10 years and see them, as James said, a slow crawl to where they are now, which can be the music industry at times. So it's a really good in-depth look of what that looks like. That kind of the building off of years and going through COVID and different stuff. So Totally. It was really cool. I was really happy to have them on because they really do have some awesome music out there. Probably one of the better bands you've never heard of, and that's why we had them on today, so more people can hear them. That's our job, Chris, at the end of the day.
This is why we do this podcast, and we are able to do this podcast and able to present this interview and many like it, past and future, thanks to our top-level patrons over on Patreon. And at the time of this recording here on June 7th, that list is as follows. We would like to thank Darian Riddle, Alex Long, Captain Hightop, Black Hole Sean, Sue, Nikki Six, Lauren Irene, Chris LSMS, Sonny Mashburn, Mary Ann, Kayla Jean, Alexis Shannon, What the Fuck's Up Denny's, our number one fan from Australia, Release, Millie, Jamie Lynn, Fresh Tendonitis, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Carlene Salona, The Blue Owl, Kara K, Wayne Staley, Jade Mercado, Doug Endy, Fuck Soup, and Rachel Corning. So to all of those individuals who are contributing to our Patreon at the $10 level, who I all just named, all of those members, in addition, everyone at the $5 and $2 levels, thank you for allowing us to have these conversations with musicians, with artists, with creators, and for the opportunity that we have to use this space to share in these passions that we have and spread the word about some great art that's out there.
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to announce all those names. If you have, this is coming, we are recording this a little bit earlier than a few weeks before it comes out. So if you joined since then, your shout out is coming.
It's on the way.
So look forward to that. And if you would like your name to be announced in the beginning, well, there's an easy way to solve that. That's join the League
really
of Patrons.
simple.
Join the League of Patrons we have. All the links are found
Lead
right
from
on
the
our
front.
website, on our Instagram, and in the bio. So go ahead, and if you feel the need, or if you feel the push to support the Grunge Bible page and podcast, please seek that out.
Yep, it's there for the taking. So without any further delays and or tomfoolery, let's get into this interview with D. Gerhart and James Daniels from Chestnut Grove.
All right, and we are here in the studio live right now. We have Chestnut Grove, we have James and Dee and Chris. How is everybody doing today? Hanging in there, huh?
Yeah, real good. It's kind of gloomy and rainy here.
It's all right. It's still a nice day.
Yeah, are you guys in Pennsylvania right now, or are you guys on the move at all? Or
No, we're in Pennsylvania. We're at my house in Boyertown still.
But we are about to hit the road. We're about to head down to Virginia and North Carolina this week.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday.
That's awesome. Yes, so for everybody out there right now, we have a local band from my area. Actually, they went to the same high school, a few years older, I think in my brother's grade. You guys were in my brother's grade, right?
Yeah, I graduated.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
were
I'm
so
in
about...
school with Quinn.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I'm
amazing.
actually, Dee, I'm pretty sure your dad was my drum teacher for like a few months. Almost positive, right?
100% positive.
Yeah,
He's been my drum teacher for a bunch of years.
This is all full circle right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so we're pretty closely connected and played a lot of the same. I mean, we played the same areas, not at the same time. I don't know, maybe a Battle of the Bands or something when I used to play, but
High school.
in
sure.
high school, and I went off and did some sports. So I haven't been in the music world, but you guys have continued to play and have been doing the Philadelphia music scene for a long time. And I'm really excited to have you guys on here and talk and kind of catch up, because I haven't been local in a long time. But my dad has seen you guys play, and at the Sly Fox, I think at least once or twice and stuff. And so, I keep up with you guys, and it's really cool to see you guys still going after it. So before I speak too much, I want to give you guys the floor and kind of give a little bio for who you guys are, how long you guys been doing it, because it has been a little bit. So, and anything that you want to kind of let the people know before we get into, our burning questions that we have.
Well,
Burning questions.
like you said, we're Chestnut Grove. We're from outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. When we're not in the PA, Philly area, we say Philly. That's where we tell everybody we're
You
from.
got to.
Same here. That's exactly what it keeps it easy.
We're from Perkiomenville, Pennsylvania, and then we went to where Ethan went to high school, Boyertown High School, which is where my house is located in that town. So repping the weird place we went to high school.
Yeah.
But the band started out of that high school. I think we were all seniors when we officially named it Chestnut Grove, and started like playing in a band together. And then like about a year after high school, we had like our full band assembled, like around 2012.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 2015, that's when we actually came out with a record. Like I could go on and on and on forever about my massive history with D and this whole band, but we'll make it quick. And like around 2015, we came out with our first record at World Cafe Live in Philly. And then it's been a slow crawl since then. Like we thought things were going to take off right after that. And, life hit, and that's not really how it works. So we've just been slow crawling since then. But over the past year, we've had success with like WXPN, Radio 104.5, EQX up in New York. And I don't remember the name of the station out in Appleton. I apologize. I know Code Zero Radio, and then there's another one. So like we've had a little bit of success at a few places, and then, some gigs up and down the East Coast, but that's pretty much it. And then this year we're hitting it pretty hard and trying to get out there and play as much as possible and do all that kind of stuff.
Pretty much bouncing back after COVID.
Yeah, it was a slow 2 years. Right before everything hit and slowed down for us, we were very busy in 2019, and then we had our busiest tour ever booked for 2020, and then we had to cancel it. So.
Oh my goodness. So now it's like scrambling to make up for lost time almost. Fortunately for us, it is scrambling to make up for lost time, and it does feel like that in a lot of ways. But fortunately for us, like we've stayed on the tier we were at. We got into Exponential Music Fest this year, which is really big. That's XPN, 88.5 XPN's festival that they have at
Wiggins Park, and it used to be BB&T Center and stuff. They have that there. So like that's like the biggest fest we've ever gotten into. So like that's good for us. We're like working towards those type of goals. So like it's good to get that.
And you guys are, for the people out there, they have, I mean, I remember you guys played a lot of like classic rock and like more rock and roll, and then you went more folk, indie, and kind of bluesy and a lot of folk. I mean, so you guys are primarily a live band. I mean, you guys really, I feel like that's like, you know, festivals and playing live music, outdoor shows is really where you guys, you know, hammer home. So was COVID like a good time to get in the studio? Did you guys be able to record a lot of stuff? Or
yeah, that was actually a blessing in disguise because we are a live band. So getting to actually sit down and be forced to listen to yourself raw. And we actually worked in my basement a little bit over COVID and started writing in my basement. So we just stripped it down as raw as it could possibly be in an environment that we weren't exactly used to. So it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, our newest stuff, like we have like identified ourselves as like an Americana indie band. That's kind of what like we've been coined as, like through our publicist and like the radio and all that kind of stuff. But our new EP, which is not out yet, but it's going to be called Can't Stand the Music. It comes out sometime around August or September. Fall will be the latest it will come out, but it should be out before the end of summer. It has like we use a lot more synth on it and stuff like that. So like it's got a different vibe. It's a lot more layered. Like you asked, like we were a live band, but now we're a little bit more of a studio act. We've kind of cut our teeth in a studio with our producer Derek Chafin for the past 2 years. We did the album, our last release, with him, which was like a step in the right direction. And then this one's really like our first real studio effort. So like I feel like we're gonna hopefully turn some heads a little bit because it definitely sounds different. It's not exactly the same thing. Like we're pushing in a somewhat more modern direction, but I don't think we really lost anything we were doing. If anything, we gained a lot more out of it. But
it's not the same Chestnut Grove you've heard before.
Yeah, but we're really excited for the new stuff to come out because like 2 years of being able to like rework it. I specifically even used the term when we were first at it. I was like, look, this is probably the worst thing that could happen to us, honestly, but the whole world's suffering it and we're not alone in this. So like to feel that self-centered would just be ridiculous. So I was like, let's just like embrace this and take it head on and like act like we're 14 again and get to like rebrand our craft almost and be able to like recreate how we can do this. And that's really what we did. Like we all sat down as if we were like just starting to play an instrument, even though we played together for 10 years. And we were like, let's act like we're a brand new band. Let's like really refocus our efforts and see if we can actually accomplish our goals in this. And prepare ourselves.
And the nice part is you guys don't lose, you know, the passion you have on stage. Actually, it probably gives you a little bit more passion coming back to the stage now. So you guys still have all of your live performance experience, but now you developed another side of your band that is really going to help you moving forward, I think, because you can always go back to your roots.
It has. It's created a lot of space almost on stage. Everything used to feel like so fast and almost like you couldn't keep up with everybody and everything going on around you. And nowadays it feels like I think we've been back for like 10 shows together as Chestnut Grove. Like, and we played a handful throughout like the COVID years. We had an album release at Ardmore with like half capacity and stuff like that. And we did things, but it was just not the same, obviously. But
totally,
it prepared us for what we're about to do this summer. And like our last string of shows, we definitely have had more chemistry. Like there's more time to like kind of look at each other and communicate on stage. Like kind of like you said about sports, like it feels more like a cohesive team. Like we're running up and down the court better.
Yeah.
No Hail Marys.
It makes a big difference too.
Yeah. So with this stylistic shift that you're kind of experiencing and you're working on this year with the EP coming out, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if you draw influences from a lot of different genres and a lot of different acts. And you both have been playing together for quite a long time, and you went to school together. So could you kind of talk about some of the influences that you have? Maybe was there like a common thread of a type of music that you both liked that brought you together, or was it just kind of like a melting pot of different things?
I've actually been excited for this question because we're on Grunge Bible, and
here we go.
Obviously, we have to know where your grunge influences lie as well.
We almost get to start there. Like it was between psychedelic rock and like grunge music, like between like Zeppelin and Nirvana. That was like somewhere where our energy lied in our early days, and that's really just because we were in 11th grade starting a rock and roll band together. So we set up in my barn, so not a garage. We're barn rock, not garage.
Same
rock.
here, dude. That was us. The barn rock.
Born in a barn. So like we were raised up doing grungy barn rock. We all had like terribly long hair, wore a ton of flannel. That was really our image in the beginning. I wish I'll dig up a couple pictures and send them to you so you maybe can pull them up when we say that.
Totally.
But, there are really some grungy looking pictures. Like we look basically like Pearl Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Dee looks like Dave Grohl when we were younger.
Hell yeah.
But so that was like the early days, but then, there's so much like, and we've grown up over the years. So like you go into that college phase and get into like a bunch of indie rock, like Dr. Dog and like, I could go on and on and on. And then like you go into soul phases, like you get like really all of us, I think got into like funk and soul music and how that blended into like modern indie music and how that like works nowadays. So I think that's like where we're at now. I could go on and on about influences.
Yeah,
it's
Beatles,
almost endless.
Yeah, the Beatles are always like tops because we're also like now becoming more of a vocal band than just like a guitar solo rock and roll show. Like all of us are singing.
All of us are singing. Like it's not just Dee and I. Like John wrote one of the bigger hits from our last EP, hits, so called, whatever that means. But to our small audience that we have, like it's a hit to them. So everybody's like involved. We're kind of like a cohesive unit. Like, we look up to bands like Fleetwood Mac, the Beatles, the band, Talking Heads. Talking Heads doesn't have as much singing cohesiveness, but that band is like a sound and a style that is very specific. But we can go all the way back to like early things like Nirvana. I'm a massive Foo Fighters fan. R.I.P. Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah, really sad.
It was the worst day ever. He literally was my favorite, like growing up. I used to joke all the time when I was young about naming my kid Hawkins.
Yeah, that one hit me pretty hard too, as we've lost a lot in the music scene, and for some reason that one felt like, I was born.
Drummers too, like it's kind of, I mean, not to compare, I don't even like when people do it, but like it must have been like when like, my dad played drums when I was younger, and he's like, it's like when Bonham, like he's
Bonham
like,
died,
you have tickets for that tour, and like, and then you just think about like how much we love them just as fans, and then you're like,
couldn't imagine how Dave and the band and
that's kind of what I was getting to. Like when you're that big of a fan of someone, like I this is the best way I can relate, like why you're so sad almost when you lose someone like that, because like it's not like you knew them or anything, but like you become such a big fan that you can relate to the fact that they're a person, and like everybody in their residual life is going through so much hurt than you even are. So like, I don't know. It was just a big loss. So like,
it's like,
and that's why I've loved the Foo Fighters so much too, because Taylor and Dave are just they're just great friends that play music together, and like that's what I've always loved about the band, and like I mean we talked about it before, and the best part about like the beginning of the Foo was just Dave, but then it became Dave and Taylor, like, and it was like they were the Foo, like the two of them were the Foo Fighters, even though it stemmed from Dave. I love that.
I mean, you asked about influences, like you talk about live show, like we're a live band, and that was like the first real concert I ever went to. Yeah. Like when I was in like ninth grade, I went to a Foo Fighters show, and then I saw about 9 more in my lifetime. Yeah. So I've been to, I think, about 8 or 9 Foo Fighters shows. I think I might be awesome. Maybe 7. I don't know. I can't remember. A lot. So
I've been to like 3, but I say 7 as well.
yeah. I think I've been to more than 3. It's been I went almost every year in a row for like a good 5 or 6 years, I think, and I like model. We don't have the same sound or like the same style of writing in any way, shape, or form, but I like model the way we make a set list and like the energy of a show off of like what I learned from going to Foo Fighters shows. Like they like have the coolest show structure on the face of the planet.
That's what I told Chris a lot too. Like those shows, they just, Dave has such a presence. Taylor had such a presence. They did so much with the crowd. Like they were just so interactive that it was really a great show every time, and they made sure that like they got better each time. So they were always doing something special.
If they weren't genuinely happy to be doing it every time, they fooled the hell out of me.
Yeah, right.
Like, they were just like, and I try and keep that too. Like sometimes like it's hard because we're not playing to stadiums or sold out crowds all the time. But like, when there is a crowd there and everything like that, and like you're trying to play, and even when the crowds are smaller, like you try and keep that energy up, like you try and keep that fire because like that's what people really want to see. So,
I think one of my follow along, one of my favorite aspects of you guys as a band is how like, I mean, like you said, you can go on about the influences, but you can generally tell from the conversations we've had and watching you guys play that you guys are students of music and just have such a love for the music and are willing to risk and like do whatever it takes to make it work throughout. And that is, so admirable and such a hard thing. And I feel like music has that type of way where you really got to push through some of the difficult like aspects of making it, whatever, into whatever whatever degree that is. But and also going back speaking, so you guys both sing and both play drums and both play guitar and switch in and out. If I'm not,
I mean,
mistaken,
I barely
correct?
play guitar. I play drums and sing. Yeah. I hold a guitar sometimes. He plays like is a multi-instrumentalist and singer, but. Yeah, but I'll let you continue.
Well, I was just saying because I thought I remember my dad said that he saw you guys at the Sly Fox Brewing. I guess it was probably maybe right before COVID or something, and I thought he said you guys switched in and out a lot on drums. So I was, I mean that's just so cool. That's not Dave. I mean Dave and Taylor did a little bit obviously, but like that's just a cool element when people can kind of move around and mix and it still is really coherent. Do you guys still do that a lot?
We do it a lot. But I think, I don't know, we just have a way of being a lot of different genres throughout our show that I don't think it's abrasive when we change drums.
Right.
It used to be.
It used to be for sure, because I didn't know how to play with
I don't even think it was like the drumming lacked or anything like that. It used to just be like stylistically we didn't blend things as well.
Yeah.
But
you guys both have such great voices that are so different, and I think you're right. You guys are almost a vocal driven act right now because it's so unique, and I mean that's like what stands out to me when I listen to you guys. It's really, I mean, the musical side is really quite has went up a ton too. I think I'm excited for the new EP for sure.
Yeah. I mean, so are we. We're very eager to get it out. Honestly, we almost feel as if like the current music is almost an off misrepresentation of what we're even doing right now.
Us, yeah.
The last record was really good. So like the last record we did is like on the right track of like where we're going. Which it was our first studio thing. Like, I'm sure like, your career as a javelin thrower, like you kind of understand, like you go through like there's a high school phase, there's a college phase, and then there's like the pro phase. And like, we've gone through all those stages without like being at an institutional level. We've just done that ourselves, like as a band. Like we've gone through like our early like grad school phases, like then like your master's degree. That's almost what it felt like going through all of it. Like you just keep getting to like this next level of like understanding like what your job as a musician and songwriter and everything like is.
Yeah,
and then you get somewhere and then you realize you have to learn more. And you have to like,
that's like the best part, though.
Yeah, it's like you reach like a plateau and you're like, oh wow, the next journey's much longer.
Yeah.
Totally. This kind of leads into a question that I had, kind of related to kind of that process and speaking to the fact that almost the music that's out, as you said, Dee, is kind of like almost a misrepresentation of who you are now. How do you kind of square away I guess the feelings that you have, for example, when you release your first bit of music in 2015 and probably feeling quite good about that. And as you get older and your style changes and the way that you write songs change, like, are you able to look back and it's kind of like, okay, these have their place in our progression and they're special. But does your opinion of the music that you put out change over time?
James is much more abrasive about it typically, but I still find the value in all of it because it is a learning experience, and
Definitely.
Like we've had the privilege of starting young and progressing and continuing to do different things, so we didn't just settle on one thing.
Right.
And I think that speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think what happens for me is like certain songs become hard to recreate because like the mechanics in them don't quite make sense to the way you actually like, learn how to play. And then other songs like Dee said, like I don't think I dislike any of them. Like every once in a while I go back and like listen to like Perkiomenville or like even earlier EPs.
Them for what they are.
Like a lot of the songs, like I really enjoy them still, like for what they are, but some of them just aren't recreatable. But that to be said, like there are like songs on each thing we've released that like have been able to progress in our knowledge of songwriting and our ability to play them. Like we're able to like Let It Down is able to be played still, and it's probably not really executed exactly the same as we did before. It's just executed at a more polished level. So like it's kind of fun to like certain songs have been fun to watch grow since they've been put on a record. Like that's like
going back and revisiting them at your musical level now.
I just think the importance of it is like trying to keep it like somewhat cohesive. Like it's hard to like certain songs do become harder to play. Like as we're getting older and like our palette and sound is changing, like the audience we're trying to reach is changing. So like in an hour long set, you start to question like, well, which songs do you play and how do you build a set? So like from the idea of building like a set list and how do we promote ourselves in the live space, I think that's the only place where it even creates any confusion.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like
some of them are outdated.
All of our music like makes sense to me. Like it was all a part of like something we were doing, and you know, all of it has like a special place in my heart because we wrote it, and you know, everything.
Absolutely.
Some of the songs you can see too, where like you were like, people forgot about this song, so we can rehash this thing that we were doing in this song and kind of bring it back to life in a new song. So like that's like the beauty of music.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And technically, obviously, you were speaking about the fact that a lot of the different things from 6, 7, 8 years ago, technically you've progressed to a certain point, but also I would imagine that revisiting those songs kind of almost emotionally can take you back to the headspace that you were in when you were writing it and kind of what was going on. And does that tend to be kind of a roadblock when performing those songs live, or is it a process to kind of try to immerse yourself into that, or what does that look like?
Do you want to go first on that?
I don't know. You sounded really ready to answer.
Most of them don't really like trigger that much like front like in the show. Like it's there's a lot of adrenaline. Like there is a lot of concentration on like executing everything like that.
Certainly.
Every time I sing "I Know Somebody," which is like a very emotional song that John wrote.
That's one of my favorites from you guys, I feel.
If we're local, well, shout out. I'll let John know that you said that.
I really like that.
I love it. I love performing it. I'm honored that he wanted me to do it. The only reason I ended up doing it was because he's like, I feel like he wrote it, so he wanted like a raspy kind of like his kind of tone on it and stuff like that to keep it like authentic to him. So like that's like why we took a stab at it that way for that song. But like that one, if we're local. Like, I have no problem doing it on the road because I don't know anyone, but it's like a very personal song to John. So, like, if his family is in the crowd or, like, even my family, like, and everybody that knows about it, or even, like, the music video Eric Campbell made, the video is personally, like, about, like, a family, like, his sister that he lost. And so the song, like, is very emotional and has, like, a lot of, like, it can evoke a lot of emotion. Is it the right word?
Yeah.
Like, so, like, that one, sometimes at a show, if there's certain people in the audience, I have to like have the Paul McCartney rule and be like, I'm not really going to look at anyone right now. And I'm not going to really think too hard about like the songs and what I'm actually performing, kind of just get through it and perform it at a good level so I don't start getting choked up. That's like the one song that is easy to like, if someone's around locally at Ardmore, it happened. Like there's a lot of old friends and everybody kind of knows personally what's actually going on with that song. So I can see all their faces, and then it's a little harder to get through that one.
Yeah.
So
I feel like over time, like the more we do songs that have emotional attachments, they like get easier to do because you've done them so many times. It's almost like going to therapy and like working it out. Like you're just kind of like, oh, okay, all right.
Talked about this before.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of an idiot. All right, yeah, I see that now. Okay, well, thank you for pointing it out. So, like, over the time, it kind of works itself out, and you become more in tune with it as the music. So, like, you're paying more attention to your technique, and hi, Penny. You're paying more attention.
My dog's in here.
Oh, here we go.
I know we love dogs. No problem.
You're paying more attention to your technique. You're paying more attention to, like, the space you're giving everyone else, and you're just kind of, like, listening to it differently when you're performing it. But Empty, I sometimes still cannot, like, I don't know. That one will just be very, very personal and very difficult probably forever.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And which is why I know, even though I didn't even write I Know Somebody, like, both of those songs are probably, like, the most, like, obvious, like, song of what they're about and what they feel like. And they are intense to perform live. And most of the time, like, I Know Somebody goes well as long as I don't know everybody there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think both of those situations are kind of a testament to the the courage I think it takes to be vulnerable with art, because a lot of those things and in those situations, most people deal with privately or with the trusted, confidants in their personal lives. And to be able to write something or to take something that was written that's very personal and very emotional and just kind of lay it bare in front of an audience of people you do know and people you don't know. I think there's definitely a courageous aspect of that I struggle to relate to, having not done something like that.
Well, to touch on that, Dee brought up like that, like, you write those songs and like as time goes on, like it's like kind of like therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like what writing songs is to begin with. Like it's almost like your conscious becomes the free therapist. Like that's like what a song is. Like you're kind of like tugging and pulling with thoughts and ideas that you have as a person,
mm-hmm.
and like you're putting pen to paper to try and like figure out your thoughts. Like that's how I became a songwriter. Like, and I think that's the only reason why I still just write songs. Like it's a healthy way of dealing with how much my brain's constantly thinking about so much crap. But, that's like where it comes from. So like, I guess it's courageous to like be able to perform it and like put it out there, but like, it feels natural to me. Like, I guess I've done it for so long. Like I the first time I remember singing a song that I wrote, I was freaking terrified. So like, I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't, and that's not a weird thing to do in front of people. But as time goes on, it becomes natural and becomes therapeutic. Like it becomes a good way to let things out there, and like you become able to be more honest. Like, and I don't know if everybody could be that way, but like me as a songwriter, like it's just like, I don't know, if I get asked a question about something, I'll probably be pretty just open and honest about it, just because that's the way I am with my songwriting to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's good to be vulnerable.
Totally.
Yep.
It is like, I don't know. It has kind of just always been natural, or it's felt more natural. Not that I've never been nervous to do it in front of people, but I think any emotion that you're feeling isn't an emotion that someone else hasn't felt somewhere before.
Yeah.
So human connection's all about trying to relate anyway.
Relatable. Yep.
Yeah.
And music is the easiest way I've ever found to connect with people. It's like a universal language. So
definitely.
Chris and I talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, Chris and I talk about this a lot, and one of my favorite parts about going to a live performance and a live show is, you get there, everybody has came for, the same reason. They like the music, and they probably share really same sentiments for why they like the music, because that's kind of how bands, they have a certain genre, a certain hold on, these emotions and stuff. So you get there and it's like an unspoken, like, yeah, we're kind of all in this together and we like this for the same reason. And it's like, it is really nice knowing that. And I think that, concerts are a great way where you're like, yeah, you just kind of, it's like a common understanding and a common love for certain things. So,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
That's what our page is completely. People just come and they have like really similar connections to these bands. The bands are vulnerable at times and went through a lot of stuff that they can relate to. And all of a sudden we have this music community on our hands that likes to interact with each other. And we're like, oh shit, like we have the, people, like it's a good space for people to be in. And then, so all of a sudden you have, what it is. A little community.
You just said shit. I forgot. I said freaking earlier because I'm so used to being on. Last 2 times we did an interview, I was on the radio.
Oh yeah, no, it's open season here. Whatever you want to say.
I'll still try and be careful. My dad still gets mad when I use the F word too much. He says it makes me sound unintelligent. So like,
that's the only knock on curse words is it makes you feel unintelligent. Exactly.
Yeah. You just got to use them smart. Like I think that's the first one we used. So that was really solid.
We've been doing good so far.
Yeah.
Just have a counter up in the corner.
Now,
exactly.
Counter from now until the end. How many happen now? I'll probably be like,
right. Cranking an overdrive here.
Sorry, we'll have Drew bleep them out now.
That'd be funny. That'd be an added touch.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys about the Philadelphia music scene because I always talk pretty highly about that now that I've lived in Kentucky and Alabama and I've done a lot of travel. And I'm always like, the Philly music scene, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the venues that we have there. Being a band in the area and probably playing a lot of different venues. One, which is like your favorite to play? Which do you love going? I know you guys play Ardmore, which I love. I've seen some good acts there. But have you guys played a lot like in the city? I know you guys are doing some traveling outside now. So, where do you guys feel as far as like a regional band, how the music scene is there? And do you feel like you need to go somewhere else, or you like really want to kind of stay in that area? Or how's that all going for you guys?
I definitely want to break through in Philly. I think it's harder than it might be in some places. Micro markets are a little bit easier to expose yourself in, like Erie, Pennsylvania, Appleton, Wisconsin. Like shout out to a couple of like our, good fan bases that really follow us hard. And not that our home base doesn't. I think the problem with our home base is scale. You just like I think we have a bigger following technically in the Philly area than we really do anywhere else. But it doesn't feel that way sometimes because like you're in Philly, you're constantly trying to like level up. Because it's like and we love Ardmore. Boot and Saddle isn't. I think it's coming back.
Yeah, somebody bought it.
I don't know if Union Transfer actually owns it still. I don't know the actual deal behind that. But Boot and Saddle was one of our favorites. We were doing really well there. We sold out a couple shows there, so we were at like the 200 cap level. So I don't think we can actually complain about the Philly music scene. I think our competitive nature is what keeps us from being like, well, we could do better in Philly just because like you can do like it's such a big. I think growing up in one of the major markets, like when we were on a smaller and more local level, I think the scene was more intact and together and we knew what was going on. And I definitely think the local scene is awesome. Like there's like a really great, still ever budding like fest scene that a lot of bands like come from in the PA area, like an underground fest scene thing that we have climbed through and done a bunch of shows for. And that's like more Harrisburg and Lancaster and Central and stuff like that. But like, we're in like a hub. So like we're like, it's just more competitive here than it feels in some of the smaller markets that I've been in. And the one thing I will say is like the bigger you get in Philly, like it doesn't necessarily feel like a cohesive scene because like there's so much
big,
Well, it's weird too. There's so much divide and gap between like the bands that are playing at the same venues. Like you're almost competing to like reach a certain level of like, Spotify listeners or whatever. Like once you start like playing those venues, you're like, okay, we have to broaden ourselves on a national level so that we can bring more heat in our area. So like it becomes just so competitive. I think Philadelphia, like we operate so much as a business that we like just compete to grow here. So it never felt like as much fun as it maybe should be.
Right.
And that's our faults for being so competitive. Like there's really no compete. There is a great scene like Cosmic Guilt, like we've got friends in that band. We're playing with them at Exponential. I personally am friends with Todd Fosnot and Josh Aaron in that band. We've done like work with them. We've played with mutual bands and stuff. It's just such a big scene. It's such so like you're always trying to connect with everyone and like grow your network, and it's like an ever-growing network. So it is an awesome scene. Like there's no knock on it. I just think it's the one thing I would say about being involved in it. In general, it's a competitive scene because like Philly's a competitive city. So I think it has that vibe.
Ruthless,
Like no matter music's not supposed to be that competitive, but it feels like for some reason all those Philly folks bring that compete level to it. In a very mutual respect kind of way. Like I said, like anybody above us, like I love the Districts, I love Dr. Dog. Like they're all my favorite bands. Like I look up to all those bands. Right. So
that's awesome. Yeah, there's a pretty cool music scene here in Birmingham, Alabama that I feel like you guys would fit pretty well in. If you ever
we'll have to talk. We can make it happen. We travel as much as we need. I was saying
it seems like you guys travel quite a bit.
We're trying to go national. Like right now, we're more of just like an East Coast Great Lakes region band. Those are where we've capitalized on like cities that we can actually repeat and play in and sell tickets. But it's an ever growing thing, and we're not really trying to hold ourselves back. Like Europe's on the cards. So.
Heck yeah. I mean, and so I've seen a lot of shows. I mean, we have one brewing company that has been doing really good. And I think what they did was they pretty much this year, like they've gotten some really. Smashing Pumpkins just played here last week, and I was away, so I didn't get to see them. But they have like a ton of really big acts, like Oliver Tree's come in, and they have a few others. And I think what they did was they just pretty much like you they give you all of the earnings because they just make money on beer, and they just rather, so they really are giving a lot of money to the band. So a ton of people are coming to play it. But I've seen Mountjoy there like twice, seen Houndmouth, and there's a lot of stuff that I feel like you guys would do really well here. So at some point, at some level, and there's a great radio station here. Like I just feel like maybe there's some.
Well,
there's a place for you guys in the South for sure, a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, because
I almost feel like we might do better. When I get out of our car at a gas station in the South, I hear all the songs I listen to. When I get out of the car at a gas station up here, I hear almost none of the songs I listen to, which is no knock. I'm not really a music hater at all anymore in my life. But, not everything's my favorite at the end of the day. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's just a challenge. Like I said, you guys grew up in the greater Philadelphia area. So, is getting out to the area where you feel like it just connects more and it's not so competitive. There's a lot of value in that too. And trying to, so I didn't know if you guys, realize that or how
that's why we put so much focus into touring and traveling. Cause it's about building fan base. I've thought about moving and stuff. The hardest part is just the structure with 5 people, getting everybody to make that move. I'm married and have a house. So there is that side to it. I don't think any of us are opposed to a move. That move would have to be because we're working with a label down there, or the studio we're going to record the next 3 albums at is just there. So that would make more sense.
Right.
Whether that's Austin or Nashville, LA, New York City. Probably not New York City. I live close enough to New York City. I would never move in that situation. Mm-hmm. I'm not opposed to moving. I don't think it's a necessary thing in today's music industry, because we always have stayed moving. That's why we've grown our band and actually made some strides and organically have fans and listeners. The only reason we haven't really pushed through further is just literal monetary reasons. We don't have a lot of background money. We don't have the ability to pay for a marketing company. So we've just grown slowly into having an agent, being able to afford a publicist. And as time goes on, we'll probably be able to afford more and continue to just grow this slowly to a national level. We'll be we'll be the band that took the longest ever to be a national act, but I think we'll get there slowly.
Yeah. Chris and I I've talked about this a few times on the page, and it's surprising, the people that make it at 18 right now. That's not how I feel like that's not how it usually goes. And stuff like this does take time. And I feel like it's, that's the way of the road sometimes. So I don't think you guys are definitely on the right track. It just a lot of stuff takes, especially to grow a really, it took us a long time to grow the page without but the best part was we didn't try, or we didn't realize, we had to put a certain amount of energy in posts. It happened organically, and then you're just people actually want to listen to our podcast, which is nice. And the podcast, we don't have great numbers, but the people that listen like it, so then it's all that matters. And it's slowly building. That's kind of how we are. We have dedicated fans in a lot of places, so we believe that we can continue to grow that at a nice pace. And honestly, I've noticed this heavily since we've graduated high school, and being a band kind of trying to take off in the era where the internet really rules everything.
Right.
I'm old fashioned. I don't really know a lot about a lot of those things. I hate being on social media platforms and stuff like that. I'm not really a big fan of any of it, but it is the way the industry works right now, and it's taken us a long time to kind of buy into that. Number one, I think about a lot of the ways that we can manage ourselves and push ourselves into those directions, and I've become more on board with the fact that that's the way it's done, and we're growing that aspect of our band now. So I think we just did a poor job of really just being we'll just play everywhere and everyone will find out about us, and a scout will come along and check us out. They don't send A&R reps out.
Right, yeah, they're not lurking in the back of clubs anymore.
And it's sad too, because if you're selling 200 tickets at a Boot and Saddle consistently or something like that, they should be sent. They should, smaller labels, or I think there should be some sort of shift in the industry still, where Sony or Atlantic or any of these big record labels that do exist still, I think they should go out and prop up these smaller record labels a little bit, give them more funding to sift through these bands and send people out to find bands, because I don't think every band that's good is necessarily they have someone who went to school for marketing, and then they have someone who went to school for graphic design. If you have someone in your band who went to school for graphic design and marketing, you just have a better chance, which is fair. That's just like how it works. But I think it's unfair to the art. It makes room for content makers and not art makers.
Yeah, because the focus no longer is strictly on the art like it had been for such a long time. Because, like you said, there's that other element that it's only becoming more and more important because I think people are placing more and more stock in those types of things.
Yeah, and the worst part about it all is a lot of times it puts pressure on the band, and you have to put focus and energy into stuff that takes away from writing and performing. You have to really work on. So, I mean, I wanted to bring up how is working with Spotify and the streaming services? Has that felt like
robbery?
Robbery, yes. We're gonna start talking about with more bands, but does it feel like? I mean, I guess it's nice because it gives a way for people to listen to your music and be out there. But does it feel, like you said, when you go to shows, they probably look at your Spotify and then make decisions based on that. And you're like, well, we just sold out Boot and Saddle, so what's more important? The streams or what the people we can get in your doors, but you probably get judged on that, and it's just it's obviously not a fair share either.
Yeah,
I know we're probably going to go down a rabbit hole here, but I mean, just general ideas.
I've been I'm definitely the first one to bitch a ton about it and say that it's robbery and stuff like that. And I've toyed with that a lot, but it's kind of back to what I'm saying about the necessary evil that it is. It is the medium that people are going for. We can bitch and moan and complain about it all we want, but if I get people to go to our Spotify and listen, I'm going to get more fans at the end of the day if I focus on getting people to go there than I will on trying to just make people buy CDs. Because it's just not going to happen. Nobody has a CD player in their car even. A CD is not going to get played. They're not going to become a fan of my music because they bought. I think a lot of people, I think the reason to have CDs is just to get people that are willing to spend $10 at a show on something you have.
Yeah, it's basically just to support you because they support you. They're not, they don't even have to listen to that CD.
So I think that's the main focus is really finding a balance between I want to find a balance in it because I still want to focus on making art. I'd rather make albums. We're making an EP right now because COVID was hard and it's easier to afford 5 songs than 12.
Definitely.
So, we're doing an EP out of necessity. We have a ton of freaking material. We could come out with 3 records right now if we wanted to. It's just not in the cards to record that much and have it come out quality. So we figured a 5-song EP is the way to go. And that's just because it's a necessary evil. It's important to have content on a yearly basis at the very least. We're going to try to release a couple more singles in 2023 before we even come out with a full-length record, just to continue to have content being released on Spotify, because that seems to be the way their algorithm wants you to do things, which is tough because it's not really the way you want to make art. I think it's already good enough. I don't think it's tough in any way. We have multiple songwriters, so I could make a record a year, but I just wish I could just focus on that. Make an album, go on tour for 8 months, come home for 2, make an album, go on tour for 12 months, come make a record in between that because you're too busy on the second tour, and I just wish there was some continuity in the industry like that, because there's just not. And it is because you have to figure out how to manipulate a way to give yourself good enough numbers for a label to want you. It's not a good enough sound and a good enough presence and they worried about all the things, they just don't have the money to promote themselves or the know-how and savvy to promote themselves. So you have to worry about all the things that make your band look good, make your band sound good, make your band feel good, sell tickets right, act right at venues, know how to do. So you have to learn all that first.
It's like selling yourself without the music.
And then if you weren't, like I said, a person who spends a lot of time working with computer graphics, or you come from that professional background as well, and you have a stockbroker hanging out in your band, that's when things kind of skyrocket quickly. And if you don't have that, you got to teach yourself all of that too. So you master your life in crafting music and making music. And then you're I also have to be a business manager. I also have to know how to be a social media savvy person. And I have to so there's just so many things that being in a band is now. And I don't really hate it. It is what it is. I'm learning to love all of it. Dee and I are coming out with a podcast. We're going to be recording all of it at the end of this month. Actually, we have a bunch of it scheduled to be recorded. It's going to be called Literally Nuts, which we thought
I can't wait to listen.
And we're just going to have guests on it, musicians. I'll probably honestly have Ethan and you guys on at some point just to talk about this show and have on to talk about sports and stuff. And it's just to have people that are also doing these things to continue to grow our network. So like, but like that's the way it's done. Like if you don't have a podcast, if you don't like push your band in every other platform and way that it can be accessed, you're not really going to find success in today's industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's one of the...
And I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Probably not. That's one of the reasons that I think Chris and I started the podcast too. I mean, it was a space for us to create, and it allowed us to produce something that we like, and it kind of lightened up a lot of... I mean, it's, you know, it's hard work at times, but it's nice because we have a product and we can use that to, if we ever need to market ourselves, because rather than just the page in a way. And yeah, we have a lot of the same difficulties.
And it gives us a space to have these conversations and discuss these types of things too. Yeah,
at some point, me and Chris are gonna have a record label. I think we always talk that. So we'll be sure to sign you guys, because we have a lot of people. A lot of people like send us music, but there's not only so much we can do right now, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's why we're having bands on and to talk about their awesome music, because I really do believe in you guys. I think you guys have really good stuff, and I am excited. I mean, like, I've been listening to Whiskey Hand. I know it's like you're one of your bigger ones, but I think it's such a well built song. There's so many different parts to it. It's pretty deep, and man, it's a really good one. I don't know. How'd you guys write that one? Was that a pretty natural? Did that one come to you guys pretty naturally?
That just happened, yeah.
It makes sense.
I wrote the lyrics with a different chord progression originally a long time ago. I actually do remember that. And our film guy, Sean McRoy, at the time, I was standing next to him, like just hanging while D was on drums, just jamming with the band to the progression that is Whiskey Hand. And then we rearranged it and worked on it. Of course. It's like the whole song, as you hear it, was not born in that moment. But, you know.
But John was basically playing piano.
And Gary and Zach were playing. Like the progression that you do here is what was happening in the room at the time. And I had the lyrics that are Whiskey Hand in front of me, but they were like a different tune I was working on. And I just started like humming them, like without thinking, because they were in front of me, and like kind of like singing them to that melody. And Sean, our friend next to me, goes, "Oh, dude, that's it. You should just go try that." And I was like, "All right, dude, I'll try that." And it went really well. And like we developed that song pretty quickly after that. Credit to the producer on that one. We went in to record 3 songs with him for that EP. It was Bill Moriarty, who actually recorded Good News for People Who Love Bad News by Modest Mouse.
Hell yeah.
And a bunch of Dr. Dog records and a Sheepdogs album. So he was like, forced that to happen. I kind of reached out to like all of his management and contact people and like pushed myself to get in there. And we were really unprepared to be able to be in a recording studio still. So we probably made assholes out of ourselves and looked really stupid to Bill Moriarty, but he accomplished getting Whiskey Hand done. And we did Days in the End and what else? Let It Down. And we did both of them there, and like they sound great and like they were well done, but like we were just too young of a band to accomplish the songs in the way that they are now. Like Let It Down is a hell of a song. And it's a shame I'm playing drums on that track, but back to the point, like Bill Moriarty made like such a great song with us, like with Whiskey Hand, and like I think that was the focus song when we went in there, and we accomplished a lot with that song, and we kind of took everything we learned from that one recording session and all the mistakes we made recording and everything, like, and grew from that though. Like, so like it was important to go record with one of your idols. Like you're like, wow, you made a bunch of records I love, so you're from Philly, I'm gonna record with you. And then you get in there and you like at least accomplish that and learn everything that's like made us the band we are today was really from like the session that made Whiskey Hand. So at least that one stands the test of time, and like something we made that young is able to like keep up with things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. That EP is I think the one I listen to the most. I think that one's really good. Just, I don't know, just the songs just make sense to me. I mean, the 2021 album was really good too, but that EP has some great stuff. Like Neighbors for Now, I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, Neighbors for Now is recorded by Josh Aaron, one of the people I brought up like in the Philly scene. He played with the Lawsuits at the time.
Toured with Ron Gallo for a bit.
He toured with Ron Gallo for a little while. So he's like a great drummer and producer from Philly. And he did Neighbors for Now and Hot Shot in the Window off of that. So like, well, that was like our first like, we stopped and no knock on what, we come from recording at Chaplin's. So we cut our teeth at Chaplin's with Chris.
Love Chaplin's too. Yeah.
We moved on and moved in with all the people that are recording in Philly and kind of making strides with XPN. So we tried to move into that field. And then we met Derek Chafin through the Ardmore Music Hall and 118 North community and everybody there. And Derek has been, by far the most influential person in how we make music outside of the five of us.
Yeah, he's been able to
he's
really push
he's
us.
Our sixth member. He's Chestnut Grove.
Cool.
Martin. He is able to he was able to push us and we trusted him, and he was able to tear down our own insecurities that we had about well, if they change our music, we're not good. You hear the stories of Prince being I know what I want. And it's I still know what I want. I know what I want better now. This producer was brilliant. He made
That's really cool. Yeah,
a real musician.
It's he's hearing the same thing you're hearing, and if he's not, he's willing to talk about it.
Yeah. So our growth of working with producers really is why we're a decent band. From Chris Kachula to where we're at now with Derek Chafin and Bill Moriarty and Josh Aaron in between. Those guys have made us who we are as a band. We learned every step of it. You really learn in the studio. You learn live too, but you learn how to play live. You learn how to play your instrument for real and be tight and be on point in a studio. Once you're in a studio for the fourth or fifth time, you're okay, this is serious. You need to be on the ball. You need to.
It's because you're vulnerable and everybody can hear when you mess up.
It's so quiet.
You're
except
dude,
for
you fucked that up 5 times. You're I know. I'm gonna try again.
And for me,
we have to run it back, guys.
At this point,
you're off the click.
Records, I only
it's
record.
I forgot how to play an instrument.
On the early records, I only recorded a couple things to a click because it used to make me feel uncomfortable. And it's probably the inconsistency and problem with our early records. It's just me not playing to a click.
Dude, so, I used to say first time I went in and played with a click, I was holy shit, I'm way off time. I was I didn't realize I was sped everything up like this.
Yeah.
I was I had to learn a lot too. I was just okay, yeah, need to get this. I am the backbone here, so what am I doing?
Yeah, once you feel comfortable with it, though, I'm sure you being a drummer, you know this. Once you feel comfortable with it, it's you're better at drumming forever. You're better at drumming without it. You hear things better. You understand.
Yes.
You really is when you're done. You're I actually you. I used to just
feel it. Yeah.
Before you learn how to play. This was at least how it was for me. Before you learn how to play to an actual metronome and you can do it confidently. You say the word eighth note, but you have no idea what it means. And then you really learn how to play to a click track and you learn what and now you're no, I can see an eighth note now. I get it.
I can live this eighth note. That's amazing. So as we get ready to close down, a question that each of you, I'd love if you could answer. Out of all of the songs that you have out that are available for people to find and listen to, do you each have a song that you would want people to listen to, or maybe a song that you're most proud of or that you like the most?
Empty. It's not no. I think anybody listening right now should go do themselves a favor and get a box of tissues and go listen to Empty
with some headphones on.
With some headphones on, because there's some really good stuff. It's the last song off of the album. Mm-hmm. If I Know Somebody is something you're already into, Empty is going to really take you there as well. It's quite the experience. I had nothing to do with the track, which is probably why it's my favorite. I don't have to critique myself at all. I just get to listen. It's fantastic. It's probably my favorite one, and I don't know if D has an answer.
I don't know. That's really difficult.
Jackknife. Go check out Empty and then Black Champagne. We recorded it at Chaplin's. It's an old song. It's buried. It's hype. It's grungy. If you're a grunge Bible fan, listen to Black Champagne. It's the grunge.
There we go.
Yeah. So that's my advice to that question.
For sure.
I love
That's
it.
Fantastic.
And then I guess the final question then, if you guys had to pick an album from the big four, the grunge, and you're had to take it with you on a road trip, what band and what album, if you can,
we got
off the top of your heads?
Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, or Alice in Chains?
I think we'd go Nirvana.
We're going Nirvana for sure.
Both gonna go Nirvana? Is that what the band listens to?
Alice in Chains is close for me.
To be honest with you, it's very hard. The only one we probably wouldn't all pick immediately is Pearl Jam, and it's not even because we dislike Pearl Jam. Mm-hmm. I actually think they're probably the best live band of the bunch.
Okay.
Again, they're in the Foo Fighters realm of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They have that,
status, they have that. So, and I actually am a Pearl Jam fan at the end of the day. There's a bunch of stuff by them I like, but I think we'd all have to go Nirvana. Zach's not here though. Zach's gonna go Soundgarden.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure. Zach would go Soundgarden.
Yeah.
I don't know what record. I'd go Audio Slave.
Oh, okay. I like that answer a lot. I like that answer.
But like, so if we collectively as a whole band, I think we probably all agree on Nirvana. Just because that was like an angsty, vulnerable start for all of us. I think there's an attitude that we all had with that.
Totally.
Makes sense why they were so big. That's what everybody liked.
Dude, I don't know. It's hard.
Not Bleach for me.
Not Bleach for me.
I'm in Utero. Like,
would it be? I was gonna say, because I mean, Nevermind. Obviously, almost by default, I feel like people choose. But In Utero, that'd be my pick personally.
That would be my Penny Royalty is my favorite song by Nirvana. Okay. Like without a doubt.
I like that.
Like, I can outspokenly say that. Other than You're Right. Because that's intense when I hear it. Yeah, but
that's a big
one.
Like
territorial pissings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's hard. That's really hard.
The Nirvana box set.
Yeah,
there we go. That's perfect. This is a whole damn thing.
Nirvana box set with me.
Yeah. But it's clearly Nirvana though.
Yeah.
So just Nirvana discography is coming with me.
Cool. Yep. That's fantastic. Well, James and Dee, thank you both so much for coming on. Really, really enjoyed getting to sit down for the last hour and have these conversations. And I guess in closing, where can people find you? I know we were talking about having to be a stockbroker, social media expert, graphic designer, but you guys are out there on the web and on various social media. Where can people find you?
Well, first off, Ethan and Chris, thank you so much for having us on the show. It was a super fun time. If you ever want us on again, we can talk about grunge the whole time. I would like to do that. Now that we have this like PSA announcement about Chestnut Grove out there on your show.
Right, we got to get your name out there so people follow along, and then they know your personalities, and they actually want to hear the other stuff too.
For sure. But
you just pried open.
Yeah, but for sure.
I'm not going to stop talking about it for the rest of the day.
It's fine. But Chestnut Grove, you can look it up, just the name on Google. It'll probably lead you everywhere you need to go.
We're the band, not the retirement
ChestnutGrove.band.
Or the hotel.
Yeah. You can find us on Spotify. I'm pretty sure we even have Pandora. Yeah. Apple Music. Literally anywhere you can look up
Instagram,
Chestnut Grove.
Facebook,
and
YouTube.
every platform we have, we are just the band name. You don't have to be like some weird handle on Instagram or anything like that. Like, our band name will
cut into the chase
where you're trying to find us. So Instagram, Spotify, Facebook. We don't post on Twitter. We should.
We do. We just don't tweet properly because Zach should be the one doing that because he's clever.
But yeah, you could find us pretty much anywhere is convenient for you to look up Chestnut Grove.
Absolutely. And if you're listening, these links will be linked in the show notes on whatever streaming service you are listening to this on. So one-stop shop. That's what we like.
Yeah. Here we go. Keep it simple.
We'll throw it up on the story and stuff when we post it too. So
absolutely.
But again, thanks a lot for talking music. I'm sure we'll have you guys on again and we'll talk some more. And we're excited for the new EP to come out. And as we like to say, rock and roll, guys.
Well, hell yeah,
rock and roll. Good to see you, Ethan. Chris, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet both of you.
Thanks, Ethan.
Thanks again for having us.
We'll talk again later. See ya.
Alrighty.
Good to see ya.
And there you have it. That was Chestnut Grove. Thank you, James and Dee, for that time. They're great people, Chris. They really people. Are. They're just music enthusiasts that have an awesome band that we get to listen to. So I'm glad that they were open to doing that and to talking about their music. I really like them. I'm excited to go back this summer and catch a live show at a brewery or something and just enjoy their music in person.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for that new EP, and really, really thankful that they were able to take the time to come on and talk music and just talk about the band and art. And I think we're all better for having had those conversations, and I hope that everyone is better for having listened to that conversation. And these conversations obviously don't happen without the help of our producer, Drew McFadden, our patrons, our listeners, our reviewers, our merch purchasers, our angry commenters, our good commenters, everyone in between. It takes a village, and we're grateful for every single individual who is a part of the Grunge Bible Village, because it allows us to do things like this and allows us to talk about music and share in music and hopefully share music with all of you that you may not know. And we look forward to continuing to do this for a long time. So thank you, as always, for your support.
So without further ado, we're going to enter into our final segment of the episode of the show today, and that will be the Song of the Week.
Song of the Week.
Chris, you're going to go first. What have you been listening to, or what are you excited to listen to? And I know everybody knows where this is going to go.
Yeah, you know what's coming here. We are going to Chestnut Grove's 2021 album that is called The Album, and my Song of the Week is going to be off of that album, and it is called Don't Mind a Thing. It is the 4th track on that album, and it's one of my favorites, and I think you should all listen to it, and I know that I will be listening to that and the album and all of Chestnut Grove's music for the days and weeks to come. Like I said, really, really excited for that EP coming up, and to hear the stylistic changes that they've made, and just to hear their progression over the last couple of years since they wrote and recorded the songs on their most recent album.
Amen to that. The whole album is really well done. So my Song of the Week is actually going to come off of that album as well. And little fun fact, so I'm double dipping here.
We got a repeat offender.
Yes, and so we talked to the band before, and it's all going to make sense. But my song is Ain't Got Nobody, and it was a single. They released that before the album came out, and it's on there. So, but I actually had chosen this once before for a Song of the Week, so it's already on our playlist. But we are actually going to finish our episode, the first time ever. We're going to play some music from a band that we just interviewed, so we are really excited. They gave us permission to play any and all music, which is very gracious of them. And they said if anybody flags or has any problems, that to direct them right to them, and they'll take care of it. So we are excited, Chris. This is our first time that we're going to do something like this.
This feels really good.
Yeah, and it's something that I'm looking forward to doing with some more bands. So you have been able to hear a good conversation with these guys, and now you're going to get to hear their music without having to go anywhere else. So we are going to send you guys off. Chris, do you have anything you want to say before we let the tape roll of Ain't Got No Body by Chestnut Grove?
Keep those headphones on, turn it up, and listen and enjoy. That's really all you have to do. We'll catch up. You know where to find us. We'll be back here next week. But now I think it's time to listen to some Chestnut Grove.
Yep, so enjoy the next few minutes. This is Ain't Got Nobody this is Chestnut Grove with Ain't Got Nobody. So please enjoy, and then go find them on the social media platform that you desire, and just have a great week, and we will see you back same time, same place next week.
Take care, everybody. Enjoy.
Looking all around must be the wrong direction. High up in the clouds, no preacher with objection.